After losing badly in a court case, dropping $10 billion in depreciation of an asset, and losing a spot or two or three or maybe even four on Fortune's list of most appealing corporations, you'd think Disney would have had enough in that 24-hour period, but no, they go on. More malarkey, and this time, Disney is appealing the decision. Mainstream media is reporting that as if there's some real chance Disney might win. We're here to throw cold water on the mouse. Hang tight, folks, we'll tell you why, with Andrew of Legal Mindset. Back again. And folks, it is another wonderful day in the neighborhood, and we are here with Legal Mindset. Andrew is back in the house.
Good to see everybody.
That's right, all to talk about things having gone exactly the way that he and I have predicted. Also, shout out to Valiant Renegade and all our friends who are down there at MegaCon right now having fun. But yeah, it seems that our side has prevailed, and by that we mean we knew what we were talking about and we told the truth. So, Andrew, just tell the audience quickly, I guess, what is the significance of what has happened in terms of the free speech lawsuit by Disney against Florida being tossed out?
Well, it's validated what we've said, that this, from the jump, is an entirely bunk case. And in fact, it is so bunk, it doesn't even get to court. It doesn't even get to a case. This has been defeated on a motion to dismiss, which is a preliminary stage, is the first ability, the first chance to get rid of a lawsuit for basically not even being a lawsuit, saying there is no substance to this lawsuit, and now this has been removed completely. This, of course, is the federal case. Remember, there are two. There was a federal case, which was the first lawsuit filed by Disney as plaintiff against Florida. Now, we still do have a state case that is going on in state court. That'll be going on for the next couple months, at least, at a bare minimum, probably another 6 months in state court. But this federal lawsuit was the grounds for all of it in terms of this First Amendment argument. And the fact that it was completely defeated on a motion to dismiss validates the fact that we said this was complete garbage and would not stand up in a court of law.
I wasn't just blown up yesterday.
And fair to say that the federal side of this was by far their best chance?
The federal side of this was their best chance to restore Reedy Creek and get control back. Like, without this lawsuit, they will never again control Reedy Creek. Let me say this one more time. Without this lawsuit, without winning in this lawsuit, not just filing it, not just yapping about it, but without winning on the merits, there is no way for them to ever even dream of controlling Reedy Creek. Those dreams are flushed down the toilet with the failure of this lawsuit. So they're absolutely finished on that. And I think this does debunk the argument solidly for those that actually are literate and can read the opinion.
And they had no standing. Now, there was one thing that came up yesterday, which was the website WDW Magic. Their article said that this actually validated Disney's ability to perhaps sue SIFTOD in the future. I didn't see anything in the ruling that gave any indication of that.
No.
This was embarrassing, I thought, to Disney.
No, the only thing that the court mentioned, because they dismissed the claims against the governor and the secretary for slightly different grounds than against the SIFTOD, CFTOD, the Central Florida Tourism Oversight District. So there is a concept called standing, which I go into in depth on my channel. I don't mean to do this on your channel, to go into a deep analysis of standing. That's a very legal, nerdy thing. But standing is your ability to even bring a claim to court. So saying, hey, look, or do you have the ability to bring this claim, to press this claim? And what they looked at when you look at Disney suing Ron DeSantis and the Secretary of Florida is, even if Disney won a claim somehow against the governor and the secretary, there's nothing that claim would do. Therefore, they don't really have standing against the governor and the secretary, because there's no way to stop them from just doing the same thing over again. And there's no future action that's pending that's going to hurt them more than anything that's happened already now. So they said that Disney doesn't even have standing against the governor and the SIFTOD. However, they do have standing against, they don't have standing against the governor and the secretary, but they do have standing against the SIFTOD. Now, standing is just your ability to file a claim. It doesn't mean whether your claim has merits. Now, the merits are the thing that failed against Sifton. So they said that, hey, their claim fails on the merits against Sifton because they failed to state an actionable claim. So meaning they don't have a pattern of facts that stands up against Sifton. They have standing because, well, Disney is a taxpayer in the district that is governed by Sifton. So you can, of course, sue the unit that is charging you taxes. This happens all the time. Disney does this against Orange County routinely. They've got several lawsuits that have gone on against Orange County for the taxes they pay because they think the taxes are too high, right? So you are always able to sue them. So clearly there's standing between Disney and Sifton. The problem was when they dragged in the other parties, which were completely unrelated. This is what we said from the beginning, which is standing. You've got no standing against Ron DeSantis. Now, yes, they can bring other claims against Sifton, but not this claim. The First Amendment claim does not work. It's been proven in court to have no merits. It's a meritless claim. So they would have to bring a different claim. There are other legal arguments if they hired Florida lawyers like myself or other folks that actually know Florida law that could have been brought regarding perhaps development rights or other things they could have tried to sue over, but they didn't do that. They went down this free speech angle, which was a loser and is a loser, and hanging their hat solely on this argument, particularly in the court of public opinion, was just setting them up for a massive L.
Andrew, there's a question I have for you that a brief answer will do because I need to use it to piggyback a bigger question. That is, did you have anything to do with helping acquire the land for Epic Universe?
Yes, that was me.
Okay, so stepping into this question then, as someone who clearly has a major understanding and has functioned at the highest levels when dealing with theme parks and special districts in Florida, you are literally the attorney, and that's why we have networked together so well. You're literally the attorney on the entire face of the earth that places should be calling to find out what's really going on, and that's why you were able to predict this out exactly to a T, 100% how this would play out. Given all of the news outlets which got this dramatically wrong, how many of those reached out to you during this time to say, hey, you are okay? That answers it. Good deal. Okay.
Yeah. Zero reached out to me, or even people that I know, because I made a couple phone calls talking to folks that I work with, folks I know, if they'd been talked to at all about it. No. In fact, I actually commented on back in the day, if you remember when they were screaming about the bonds way back 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, when they were screaming about the municipal bonds, those bonds that were issued by Reedy Creek when they were trying to wind down the district or reform it. The lawyers and people they had commenting on it were people that didn't work in this area of law at all. They were people that didn't know about this at all. Disney has consistently turned to counsel and turns to individuals from DC, New York, California, people who don't know the state. And something like property is extraordinarily state-specific. This is state-specific law. Law regarding special districts is very Florida-specific because, well, it's stuff that really is unique to Florida. Now, other states have special districts, but the law as we apply it in Florida is different. I've looked at it. I've done comparative studies to Texas, to Illinois, to other states that have Wisconsin, states that have other types of special districts. It's not the same. It's not one for one. And they should have consulted, but they chose not to do that because they were making a publicity argument. The core of Disney's argument has always been for publicity, not for legal efficacy.
And people followed along due to brand loyalty and emotionalism and all of that. They should have been following the facts, and that's what you've done such a great job of helping us elucidate to the audience. And I just want to say, too, what a horrible 24 hours it was for Disney. They not only lost, and now they are at the mercy of what the courts will decide in terms of Florida now coming after Disney and Sifton coming after Disney, but they also were dropped from Fortune's most, I forget the exact title of the list of corporations, but most appealing corporations or something like that. Big list on Fortune the corporations want. Netflix now #1 in the entertainment category. Disney down, I think, around 4th place. A huge loss. And then, far more important, I think, Disney took a $10 billion loss, in excess of $10 billion, but at least $10 billion in terms of a deal they made with Fox when they purchased Fox that had to do with India. And of course, they're covering that on Vet Park Place. So, I mean, you can't make this up. A horrendous 24 hours. But Andrew, there they go again.
Well, all I'm going to say, Pro, is thank you. Thank you for delivering me more content to cover as we go ahead on this. But This is going to absolutely, and I've said this on my channel, I'll say it again, I'll be very consistent. An appeal is going to be a pathetic attempt here, because you have to understand what would have to happen for Disney to get this right. Not only would they have to get a number of political judges, so they'd have to get a panel of political judges that would be in the tank for Disney, and get them to rule conclusively for Disney, overturning principles like standing, which, for example, is something that is generally across both party lines. Both party lines tend to, on procedures, standing issues, really generally be united. So I don't see them magically creating standing, because that would be a nightmare for the courts. If they create precedent for these types of claims, there would be what we call a flood of litigation, because then anybody could sue on any single piece of legislation because somebody said a mean tweet or made a comment on the other side of the aisle. So this would open up a level of lawsuits that would be unprecedented in America.
Who knows? Listen, they wanted us to go along with the idea that property rights should be utterly transformed all across North America. Now they want standing apparently completely changed, transforming the legal landscape. I don't know. Maybe they'll burn down every copy we have remaining of the Magna Carta. They're after it. Let them go for it, baby. But Andrew, looking here at the Berkshire Eagle, Disney appeals dismissal of free speech lawsuit as DeSantis says company should move on. What circuit does this go to? What are the political makeups of where this would land? So this do they have any shot at an activist?
This goes to the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals. So this is a district which, look, is it possible? Are there Obama appointees? Are there folks in there? Of course, right? Of course. But I don't think the chances of them prevailing at the Court of Appeals, and then obviously if they prevailed at the Court of Appeals, this would go up to SCOTUS after that. And certainly, I would not see this surviving SCOTUS review if it ever was to go to that. But beyond that, this is a motion to dismiss. So they would have to win on the motion to dismiss and then go back to court and then survive a further inquiry, discovery, summary judgment. They'd have to survive all of that, which is something that I just don't think they could do. They would have to go back and survive something like summary judgment, and I don't think they would get past that, even if they were to somehow magically pull out a win. And certainly they would not prevail on the merits in a case in which they've got no facts to support their underlying claim. This is something that was brought up by Judge Windsor at the district court level. Is a lot of the statements that Disney is making are just empty, bombastic statements. They have nothing to do with the actual law or facts, and Disney hasn't been able to provide any concrete facts that show the harm that they allege came to them specifically. Remember, one of the biggest stumbling blocks here, Pro, is that Disney is not the only landowner or taxpayer. They are the largest, but not the only. And because there's about 20% of other people paying taxes, paying 20% of the SIFTOX taxes, actually Disney's making them pay more through very shisty agreements, but that's neither here nor there. These other landowners have rights too. And just because they don't own as much property as Disney or pay as much in taxes doesn't mean they have no rights. And it doesn't mean that this district is the personal property of Mickey Mouse. That's
Andrew, who are those landowners? Who else is involved in this?
I mean, you have things like Shades of Green, you have hotel chains, you have restaurants, you have various other businesses, small and some large, that own within Disney, and they have rights too, because they are providing services within Disney. They're operating within Disney, similar operations even sometimes. So they do the same sort of rights. Of course, we've covered on our channels how they've been receiving disparate services from the old Reedy Creek, stuff like policing services, where Disney would receive all those benefits from Reedy Creek, whereas these other businesses would not receive any benefit of those policing services.
Right.
So that's what we've got here today with that balance.
Okay, so then let's talk about why exactly Disney is choosing to appeal. What is the purpose? What do they gain? I mean, you've got to look across the table and figure out what it is they're thinking right now. So what might they be going for? Delay. Disney's strategy has always been to delay. And I think the one thing they're worried about is having this huge egg on their face in light
of their battle with Nelson Peltz, with their fight over the core of their company. The last thing they need is for them to be able to point at this giant court loss and say, look at you, you're destroying the company, and you're destroying like you're losing in court, right? On top of you're losing in the courtroom and in the boardroom.
I have been stabbed, shot, poisoned, frozen, hung, electrocuted, and burned.
Oh, really?
Right. The last thing they want is that. That is certainly a nightmare for the company. And I think they're trying to push this out as long as they can. I think they're also trying to push it as close to the election as possible, because I think that's something that definitely hinges a lot on what may happen with the House of Mouse. Certainly, if there was, God forbid, a DeSantis as Attorney General, or somebody who is in that position at the federal level that's going to prosecute Disney and the former Reedy Creek for some of the former actions, there could be a lot of trouble in the House of Mouse. So I think they're trying to push this out as long as possible. Disney's legal strategy typically involves delaying so long that the other side runs out of resources. However, that won't happen here because the CFTOD can simply tax Disney for their legal bills, and the state of Florida has unlimited power to, of course, tax, spend, stuff like that. And it can also levy additional funds as needed. So the state of Florida is not running out of money for lawyers, and neither is the CFTOD.
Well, this next earnings report is going to be very interesting, with Iger having to explain a $10 billion devaluation loss, having to explain the situation with losing now after he's in a previous earnings call being so braggadocious when it came to talking about the situation in Florida. Now that's completely blown up in their faces. But Andrew, I guess the big thing people are wondering about, there's been some contention about claims that you and I have ascribed to, that this could be up to $1 trillion, and that it's a political mistake. I mean, Disney, in these claims, Disney says that they had their rights infringed upon due to their political statements. That means that they agree they made a political calculation. But it's the $1 trillion mark that, if you could just explain that for those out there who maybe they've seen some disagree with us. They don't understand why those individuals haven't decided to come on and debate us or anything like that. So if you could just present why it is you think that this could be a $1 trillion mistake, I think that would be a great place to wind down and just let that sink into the audience.
Well, the presumption for Disney is not that Disney is going away tomorrow. It's not that Disney disappears and Walt Disney World in Florida disappears the next day. My presumption is that Disney World, which outlived Walt Disney himself, will outlive you and I and many folks who are out there today, and there will be some sort of theme park, even if it is with a successor entity, that is there in Florida 100 or 200 years from now. So down the road, there is a Walt Disney World in Florida. And when I say it is going to lose trillions, I am talking about decades. I'm talking about 50 years, 100 years, even 150 or 200 years down the road. These are losses that are in the aggregate. These are not losses that happen in one time, at one day. So when people are looking at, oh, well, Disney's operating expenses are only in the billions, so how can you say trillions? First of all, trusting Disney's numbers is suspicious. But that aside, we're talking about the benefit lost. So Disney was receiving a lot of benefits from Reedy Creek. They were getting essentially subsidized by Reedy Creek. Those benefits are now gone. Things like grants, things like tax-free funding, things like the ability to take money from other taxpayers and reinvest that to benefit Disney primarily. They don't get to do that anymore, and they've lost that forever, not just this year, not just next year. And what this case shows us is Disney will never get this back. They will never recapture their ability to push those benefits onto Walt Disney World and the Walt Disney Company as a whole, and focus on that company anymore. Now, the district will focus on governing like a district, fairly and equally to everybody, including minority landholders. It'll also uphold the law, which will make sure that it has to stop doing certain things, like handing out tickets, Disney tickets, as an employee benefit, right? That is going to stop. So all of these things that went, all these benefits, those ticket sales, those attendance numbers that were pushed by Disney, those are all going to go away. Those are all going to melt away. And when you look at those over the long span, including inflation, you're going to have some serious issues. Disney benefited by being able to build infrastructure in the 1960s and build it on the cheap using public funds. The thing is, after about 20, 30, 40, 50 years, you start to have to replace infrastructure, and that's really costly. And the next time Disney does that, they're going to find that they have to go into their corporate pockets rather than Reedy Creek and put this on the balance sheet of the Walt Disney Company. They benefited by being able to shift liabilities to the government. Now they have to take those liabilities on their corporate balance sheet. This is going to impact the company for a long period of time and cause a loss of trillions without a doubt when you look at the long scale over 50, 100, 150 years.
But what do we know? We're just making this up.
What do we know?
Andrew, I can't make any kind of financial advice to the folks out there, but I will say to shareholders, while this is not financial advice, in retrospect, the shadow campaign to take out Bob Chapek and get Bob Iger back, the decision to make political statements and political calculations out of a corporation which has absolutely no financial interest in doing so, comes with a price tag of at least $1 trillion. Dear shareholders, do you think you got your money's worth out of that 1 year of incendiary language towards Floridians? I suspect not. Folks, we will continue to cover this at a high fidelity, at a resolution the other places would be hesitant to ever go because they might unveil the truth. And Legal Mindset is your #1 source when it comes to all things legal and Disney. Andrew, what do you have coming up on the channel?
I'm back in my home base here, and I am going to have a stream coming up today. So talking a little bit, not more about just another appeal, but some of the business side considerations, as well as a state lawsuit. We now have some timelines on that as well. So I'll be giving big updates on that shortly on my channel as well. So you guys can go over and check that out on my channel, Legal Mindset.
Love it, and have to say I greatly enjoyed your live stream 2 days ago. Folks, if you have not seen that one yet, go check it out with the reaction to all of this. Folks, on this video, you can help us out as well. Like the video if you liked it, share, subscribe, and when you click it, you do stick it to the algorithms. It's the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts and show us that legal acumen that you all have gained just by being here today. Tuition not required. All right, folks, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.
No, hey Florl, what you doing? Thinking about Rome?
No, I wasn't. But thanks. Now I lost the game.
Dang it. Now I lost the game. Oh, no. Well, now you're a double loser.
Hey guys, you know what would help you in your grief? Forgetting those things and filling your mind with articles from thatparkplace.com and using that website as a launching pad to get you lost in thought with all of the team from there.
Yeah, that's actually a good idea.
Yeah. Oh, well, Flora, would you look down here?
I hate you.